Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan Steele and I will be your nerd today. It's actually been 2 weeks since the last nerd episode, nerdisode, nerd issue. No, I have lots of issues. Never mind. It's been 2 weeks because last week was Thanksgiving here in America, and I took a day off to cook and spend with my fam and relax a little bit because life has been kind of hectic, a little crazy. So we've got 2 weeks to talk about of the 2 weeks in Bryan to get you caught up, and then we'll get down into the topic at hand. So first and foremost, Thanksgiving was awesome. My mother-in-law, because we are doing the social distancing, masks when you go out, stay in your own little personal bubble. So we had a very, very small Thanksgiving. It's just with over at my mother-in-law's house because she is part of our local bubble because she takes care of our stepdaughter, or my stepdaughter, our daughter, the girl that lives in the house with us. She takes care of her own weekends quite often. They're very, very close, which is awesome. But it meant that our bubble extends to her, so including her with Thanksgiving sounds like a great idea. And so we had a Thanksgiving, and our Thanksgiving had a special rule this year. That was everybody has to bring a dish that they've never made before. And while that was kind of cool in the fact that we all got to kind of experiment and make new things, and if you guys know me, I'm a crazy foodie, so I went and was like, I'll find recipes that make me happy, and I'll do crazy stuff. I did. I made a Southwest cornbread dressing with chorizo and sage sausage. Oxtail broth base, made my own cream corn to put in there. Yeah, I'm fancy. What's up? But whereas I thought it was going to be actually kind of a spicy Southwest zingy sort of thing, it turned out to be ridiculously sweet, like candy sweet. I actually thought it was too sweet. I was sort of upset with myself. But then again, if you ask anybody who listens to me talk when I cook, I'm always upset with myself. I'm never happy with. It could be amazing, and I'll be like, this is pretty good, but I'll always have some kind of critique about something. The second dish that I made, legitimately, I can't say. I can't, like, for lack of a better reason. I found a recipe. And generally speaking, one of the things that I stand by is, as someone who cooks a lot and understands flavor combinations and cooking techniques and things like that, I always try to make a recipe by the recipe, like go by the box, go by the card, go by the book, whatever. The first time you make something. You can play with it afterwards once you understand how it works. So I found a recipe to make a monkey bread, a monkey bread / cinnamon roll casserole as a dessert. And then I decided I was going to go ahead and make some homemade lemon and vanilla icing to go over the top, instead of store-bought weirdness. Except it was a casserole that was made in a crock pot. And while I love my crock pot, I'm currently using it right now, making a bunch of stewed meatballs for my family. The idea of using biscuit dough in a crock pot seems super weird. And the whole time I was reading through this recipe, and I'm looking at how it says to do this, and I'm like, this just sounds, how does this possibly work? Like it shouldn't. And so I put this thing together. I did my egg wash. I did everything by the numbers. Put it together. It was supposed to be on low for 2 hours or 2.5 hours. And 2.5 hours later, it looks like it's just a doughy mess ball in the thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe mine's a little too big. My crock pot's large, or it's old and it's not cranking up the heat like it used. I don't know. So we take it over to my mother-in-law's house, and I put it on low again, just kind of let it continue doing so, cooking. And at some point during the process, it changed from being a doughy swamp mass to a rock hard, like, tortoise shell that when you broke it open, the inside was still basically raw. It was so gross. I was so disappointed. I was upset with myself because I knew, looking at this recipe, I was like, it sounds good, but there's something wrong with this process, and I'll never do that again. And so basically, I passed it up, and I was like, I'm done with you. My mother-in-law was really nice, and she said that it tasted really good, despite being, this weird, process or whatever. That it tasted really good, and the icing was really good, and which, icing is buttermilk and powdered sugar with flavor, and like, so it was like, all right, yeah, that's the easy thing. That's like basically saying this bowl of cereal is really good, mostly because of the milk. Whatever. But yeah, so I was disappointed in my dishes for different reasons. One actually was very palatable, just not the palatable way that I wanted it to be, and then the other one was just a waste, an utter waste of time and effort and money, and I wanted real good stuff, and I didn't get it. But again, while Thanksgiving was good, we still had a turkey, because my mother-in-law had not made turkey before, and she had spatchcocking it and doing it a specific way. Normally, unless we are going to my aunt and uncle-in-law, my aunt and uncle-in-laws, generally speaking, I make the bird. I don't mean to like pat myself on the back, but I make a hell of a good bird. I have a process that takes 3 days, and it's a thing. But regardless, my mother-in-law did a great job. It was an awesome turkey. I ate leftovers for several days. But one of the things that I did take away from the whole, like, make something you've never made before, it was a nice dinner, but it did not feel like Thanksgiving. It didn't feel like Thanksgiving because, aside from the turkey, which is something that I would make, that I've made not on Thanksgiving before, there really was no Thanksgiving staples. I don't like sweet potatoes. I don't want to get a bunch of flack for this. I don't like pumpkin pie, sweet potatoes, stuff. It's basically the consistency and flavor of turds. I don't mean to be gross. I'm not a fan. But things like stuffing and dressing, which are two separate things, mind you, they are different. Turkey, apple pies, any kind of like baseline bun product, cranberry sauce, and some kind of vegetable casserole or something along those lines. These are things that I always view as kind of like Thanksgiving staples. I also, and I even brought one with me, ever since I was a little kid. If you don't have one of those canned cranberry sauces to bring to the table, the ones where like you take the top off and it comes out and it goes and like shakes there for a second and still has the ridge lines in it from the can, it's just not Thanksgiving for me. And I will go out of my way to buy, like, I'll bring my own can to other people's houses if I'm worried that they're gonna have like homemade, which sounds so froofy. And it's the opposite of a foodie. It's like, no, I don't want you to have the one that you've got walnuts and ginger and orange rind, and and I understand how to make it. It sounds amazing as a jam, and it's muy bueno. But I'm gonna have this canned stuff that's only recognizable as food when you take it and put it on something else. It's weird. It's a weird tradition from when I'm little. It is what it is. But yeah, so again, it was a good time. It was a good meal. I was upset with one of my dishes, but it really was. I mean, it was a nice time to be around family, but still not a Thanksgiving. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know what to say. Again, it was awesome to have a day off. It was fantastic to spend the day cooking in my kitchen. I wasn't thinking about work. I checked my email that morning, checked in with my artists, checked in with my layout people, and made sure that I didn't have anything like looming over my head, and then spent the day cooking and prepping and helping Natalie with the cake, and that was awesome. That was really nice. It was a nice like vacation day to be able to spend and do that. And listen to music full blast with us just rocking out in the kitchen, and it was a lot of fun. It was good. So that's of the 2 weeks in Bryan, that was my Thanksgiving day, and I had a blast. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm like being like it wasn't Thanksgiving. No, it was still fine, especially considering. I got to talk to several family members that I miss on Thanksgiving because of the whole COVID thing. We couldn't have my parents down. My son was over at my ex-wife's house for this year for this Thanksgiving. So I still got to talk to everybody. I still got to see people. I mean, it was a plus. It was still a definite highlight. So I'm like, I don't want to like say to that at all. Game wise, played a game of so the people who make Unstable Unicorns. I know I've mentioned the game before. It's a great card game, super fun. It's a cutesy. It's the same guy, the artists that do Tea Turtle, which is a t-shirt company that do amazing, cute little animals that often are saying things that don't really match their cuteness. They put out a game several years ago called Unstable Unicorns, which is you are basically you're trying to collect a stable of unicorns before the rest of your opponents do, and several of these unicorns are there like they'll killing each other and zapping each other and stealing each other, and there's even a not safe for work add-on that is hilarious if you're not playing with children. But overall, it's just a really fun game. Well, last year they put out a Kickstarter for a game called Here to Slay. And Here to Slay is a D&D, like a fantasy role-playing world setting that they've created, where you're a party leader and you're trying to gather a group of adventurers to go and defeat monsters. And when you have a full party of adventurers, you win. You basically you win the game when your adventuring party is 6 different classes, and you're like, let's go. You're ready to go out and adventure. And it's hilarious because the classes are tied to what animal species. Like all the sorcerers are dragons, all of the paladins are unicorns, all the wizards are cats. Or no, all the rogues are, all the thieves are cats, all the wizards are. What was the wizards? I think the wizards might be some kind of like mixture of things, like a jackalope or a bunny, or yeah, they're all bunnies. They're different kinds of bunnies. The druids are all like moose and deer and elk. All the warriors are bears, but all the bards are squirrels. Oh my god! Like it's like I play this game, and although it's a lot of fun, just playing the game in general because it is just a fun game with a lot of card blocking and things like that. But also the art in the game is amazing, and frankly makes me wish that there was a Here to Slay, like role playing world or something like that. Because like I love the idea of these adventuring squirrels and stuff. It's super cute. And I think that it could easily be made into a kids role playing game without trouble. Just it'd be great. So I get to play a couple games of that. I won one, and then I got trounced on another. Let's see. I played a little bit of the D&D game where I am a capoeira tabaxi cat monk. Having fun with that one. Got to play a little bit of that last week, and I think we're gonna play again this week. I hope so. I hope we're gonna play this week. But one of the highlights actually is I got in, or we had our first session. One of my very very close friends and playtesters and kind of local group guys began a Curse of Strahd online session. Luckily, it's with a bunch of people that several people I've never played with. A couple people I've only played with a few times, but all people that I know, like no strangers. And it's so weird. I'm not used to starting off at first level and having like actually being afraid of like, oh, there's howls in the woods. Wolves could kill us. Let's not maybe necessarily go do that. But I'm playing a brass dragonborn paladin who is destined to follow the path from my DM's Guild supplement, which I'll talk about here in a second. That makes him, he's basically a paladin of chaos, a paladin of the twisted fates of the twisted winds of fate. And so I get to occasionally do and say very strange things. One of the party members asked me, "What faith do I follow?" Like what you're Sir Paladin, you are a holy knight of the church. What church do you follow? And my response is, well, it depends on which God is talking to me at that time. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, they all talk to us. It just kind of depends on whether or not we're listening. And I have a feeling that they think that I'm completely crazy, and I cannot wait until we get a little higher level and I get to use some of that craziness, like wield some of that craziness. That will be tons of fun. So we're having a blast there, and one of the people in that game is a dear friend of mine who I have not roleplayed with since college. So we're talking, at this point, it's 20 plus years since we've sat at the same table, not at a convention. So this is, I'm over the moon that we get to have this game, and I'm super thankful for Nick for running it. I haven't done a lot of miniature gaming. With one exception. I'm so glad I didn't forget. The other day, it was late last week. So I'm going to give you a little background. I used to be crazy big into HeroClix. Like, I still have several like complete collections of some of the OP kit stuff. I would drive to different stores to play in events to specifically get those OP kit models. I've got a complete set of constructs and the lantern for both black and green lantern cores. I've got a whole Infinity Gauntlet. I went crazy. Because it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing that game. It filled that niche for me when 40K was not very appealing. But one of the things that I was very big into is when I would buy collections or when I would buy a booster brick or a case of models, you get a lot of doubles. And while Connor, my son, when he was little, my doubles, my doubles that weren't worth any money, I would put with a permanent marker a big C on the bottom of the dial and throw it in a box for him because he loved playing with them. He thought they were super fun. And then as he's grown up, it started out that he was just basically playing with them like regular toys. You'd set them up on terrain and they'd, that sort of thing. And then later on, he started realizing that they had numbers. And then so it was, this guy does X numbers of to you. Click, 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 click. Okay, cool. This guy does this. And like, he basically, he/we, because I would, eventually he started asking me to play with him and teach him how to play. And so it started, I would introduce different spots. Oh, well, this guy's got 2 lightning bolts on him, so it means he gets to zap 2 guys. Oh, that's cool. Let's do that. And so we kind of, I was sort of introducing him to the way the game worked without actually just inundating a 5-year-old with rules. Well, so last year he gets his HeroClix guys out, and he gets a map out, and he asks if we could play, and I was like, absolutely, let's play. And he's like, no, I mean, like, can we really play? And I was like, you know what? Connor's almost 12. He is definitely smart enough. He's about the same age I was when I started playing Magic the Gathering, which he now plays. He obviously understands rule function and tactics through video gaming and things. Let's give it a shot. And so I started walking through how the rules work, but then we ran out of time because it got to bedtime and he needed to go to bed. And so I said, hey, next time when you're here from your mom's house, let's crack out the HeroClix and let's actually play. And so that's exactly what we did. I set up the map. I got the guys out. I got the cards out. I explained to him. We spent about 20 minutes just going through the different colors on the dials, what some of those meant, and then if some of that stuff popped up, please, let me know. Hey, what does this do? How does this work? So it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. It was a very, very neat game. And so we built our forces, and before long, he cleaned my clock, just wasted me. And while I have been a long-standing, I am not going to beat the tar out of a kid because he doesn't understand how the game works. I may feed him a piece or two, or I may kind of coax him into doing certain things. I'm not going to just, ruffle stomp somebody and go, well, it's too bad, because I want them to enjoy it. I want them to be able to play, and then, but I'm also not going to just roll over and let someone destroy me. But that's exactly what happened. He just murdered me. And at the end of the game, he's like, whoa, that was cool. And I started looking at the pieces, and I was like, Connor, how big of a force did you take? And he goes, 500 points. And I was like, well, that's why you beat me. I only had 350. He had a full 150 points on me, which in HeroClix, that's a significant factor. So he felt super bad. He was like, oh, I cheated. And I was like, no. I was like, cheating implies malfeasance. It implies you wanted this to happen. You thought we were playing a bigger number than I was playing. It's just a mistake. It happens. He's like, oh, I feel so bad. So he's waiting. He can't wait to play again, but with even numbers, and hopefully have a legit match. But he picked up on it pretty quick. The hardest part for him, I think, the grasping of it is that some actions put tokens on you and some actions don't. Some are free, some are, some take your move, some you have to do on your turn, that kind of thing. And a lot of that is just going to be stuff that comes with time, that you learn as it goes. And as he and I play more games, he'll see me doing it more. He will then go, okay, that's a really cool thing, and then he'll do it, and we'll go from there. But yeah, so that was the only miniature game that I played last week, was HeroClix with my kid. So it was awesome. I'm actually super psyched about that. But I did pick up a new painting commission, and oh yeah, I got my laptop fixed. I totally spaced it. Next week I'll see if I can't get the hobby rig put together. We can maybe do some painting. So you can see the new commission. I'm doing a bunch of Thousand Suns, just like rubric marines, and I had to convert an old Chaos Dreadnought into a Nurgle Hellbrute. But I am also painting a Ghost Rider for Marvel Crisis Protocol, because our local group of friends, we did, rather than doing a Secret Santa, we did a Secret Painter. But it wasn't really secret. We all drew names, we figured out who it was, and then we all sent whoever is painting for us. We all sent a model to that person, so that way you're not getting a model you're never going to use or anything like that. And so I sent my painter an Ambot from Necromunda. The person I'm painting for sent me Ghost Rider because he knows I'm a big fan, and I don't really play Marvel Crisis Protocol. It gives me an opportunity to paint this model without going out and spending a bunch of money and buying it for a model that I'll probably never use. But yeah, so that's what's going on over there in the hobby rig area. Um, and then let's see what else. Looks like there was something else I wanted to bring up. I can't remember for the life of me. No, I think that's just about it. Also, we're almost. I know I've been jawing along, but it's 2 weeks in Bryan. There's a bunch of stuff going on. I'm working on something on the side, just a couple of paragraphs a night, nothing big. That my hope is I'm going to get it completely done. I'm going to put it all the way together and give it / submit it to the company that could make use out of it. And if I get the response of no, we can't look at this because it's unsolicited, then I've got this cool rule set that I'll probably find a way to make it into a big PDF and put it online and go have fun, play as much as you want. If they decide that they think it's cool, that'd be even better. But I'm not gonna get my hopes up or anything like that. So I'm working on that, and then still slugging away at Power Rangers / Transformers and G.I. Joe. Did a little work on Spycraft stuff this week, but primarily work-wise, it has been editing. It's one of the reasons why the topic of today is editing. Is it a blessing or a curse? A little bit of both. Sorry about that. Weird technical difficulty. So what we're saying is it's why we're talking about editing being a curse or a blessing this week, because for my next 2 weeks, I'm up to my neck in editing. So before I get into that, hopefully, it might be by the time this video comes out, or maybe just a couple of days after. I plan on actually probably doing a quick little reminder to everybody, oh my god, go take a look at this, on TikTok and on the whole 9 yards when it becomes available. But my first DM's Guild PDF product, the Lore Master's Guide, the Lore Master's Guide Path to Adventure Volume 1, because it's the first one we're doing, will be available, hopefully. Like I said, might be available by the time this comes out. Doubtful, though. I guess I know there's some kind of selection process that or some weeding out to make sure that this thing isn't filled with a bunch of hot garbage. But it is in the last stages of layout. It's being polished and finished up right now as we speak. Literally, as I'm recording this, my layout person is finishing it out. I am so very proud of it, of not just the material inside, but actually the illustrations. Kelsey did a great job. The fact that these class add-ons have been through so many revisions and cleanups and changes, and the playtesters did a great job. And I'm very excited, and I'm excited for you guys to get to see the final version of it. And if all goes well and it sells well, which hopefully it will be, I'm doing it cheap. I know there's a lot of people out there that they're trying to break the bank with the products they make, but I want to be able to pay for the illustrations and things that I made, and then maybe make some profit on the side. But the whole goal is basically to use this to fund the next one, and then the next one funds the next one, and so and so forth and so on. That gives me an opportunity to constantly put out cool stuff for D&D players to use in the DM's Guild. So hopefully you guys will see this and don't mind throwing a couple of bucks. Throwing literally a couple of bucks. It's gonna be $4. I'm gonna set the price at $4. I know that seems like a weird number, but the math makes sense in my head. It is what it is. But the whole goal here is hopefully next week's episode, if I don't do the hobby rig, next week's episode could be me, as long as it goes through and starts to sell and whatever, it could be me doing a review on my own product, showing you pictures, showing you images. I'm pumped. I'm excited. Not solely because it's been a lot of work getting here, making it, whatnot, but the team that I have, that I put together individually, the people with the skills that they needed to get this project done, they all knocked it out of the park. They busted their ass to make this a good product, and I look forward, especially on the heels of such a well-received product as Tasha's Cauldron and Everything from Wizards of the Coast, which does include a whole bunch of like subclasses and things. This is basically almost like a mini version of a chapter from Tasha's. So I'm psyched. I think that I really do think that it's gonna go over very well. I can't wait to share it with the D&D community, with D&D TikTok, with the D&D fam. I'm already playing 2 characters that use those class benefits. I'm having a blast with them. So hopefully, I'm going to mention the DM's Guild in the description of the video, but more than likely the actual link to the product itself won't actually appear until I do that little "oh my god, it's here" video or the review next week. So we'll see either way. Honestly, what might be kind of cool, I don't know if the DM's Guild does this, but it might be kind of a neat way for you to buy an inexpensive D&D present for Christmas for somebody. If have your D&D group do a Secret Santa and you buy somebody this PDF, or if you're a dungeon master and you go, my players might enjoy this, buy them this PDF. It's going to be cheap, and that's and I know that's not necessarily me being like, haha, you don't have to spend anything. It's just, I understand that sometimes you want to do something nice for somebody, but if there's 6 somebodies at the table, that can get expensive. So rock and roll. It's going to be out soon. The Lore Master's Guide, Paths to Adventure, Volume 1. Let's see. So then the other thing that happened to me in the last 2 weeks is I got back my big Shadowrun novel. I got the novel back from the edit pass over at Catalyst. I've been in the industry a long time. I've got very thick skin when it comes to comments. I am not used to seeing that much red in my products, in my manuscripts. I won't say that it's undeserved. Going through and making these edits, I'm definitely making a much cleaner product. I'm definitely finding, the comments that the editor had made as several of them are warranted. Some of them aren't. Some of them I'll fight her on because I think that it's integral to the story, or it's integral to a character, or part of the process that maybe she isn't aware of at the time when she made the notes. Whatever the case may be, I'm going through that process now, and I've got basically about 2 weeks to go through and fix all the take all the red out of my ledger, so to speak, which is a lot, and that's why I'm bringing up editing today. As a writer, as a designer, there's always something else that you have to keep in mind. And one of the biggest things that you have to, especially as a freelancer, especially as as somebody who that you're working for hire, that you're working on a contract, is at the end of the day, your client, the person who contracted you to do this, the person who told you to pay to write this, to design this, to whatever, at the end of the day, this is theirs, not yours. Yeah, it's got your fingerprints all over it, it's got your blood, sweat, and tears in it, but it's still not actually yours. It's theirs. It's their product. It's their characters. It's their profit margin. It's their their product. And when an editor, there are two types of editors out there, in my opinion. In my opinion and my experience, there are two types of editors. There are the editors that just make the changes. They see something, they change it, and go, it has been edited. I am an editor. This has been edited. This is editing. Ta-da! And then there are those that merely highlight the errors and then put it back at you and say, fix it. There are also people that do a mix of the both. And depending on the project, sometimes you can do one. You can do the very fast pass, I'll fix all these little quick errors, no big deal. In some instances, for instance, like my current Shadowrun novel that I'm editing right now, some of the changes are creative in nature, which means an editor is not going to be able to rip apart your plot line and then put a new one in, or take apart a character and then reintroduce somebody new. They're not rewriting this book for you. They're just letting you know this part doesn't work, this part doesn't work, we really like this part, we want to see more of this, that sort of thing. That's kind of where I came up today with the is editing a blessing or a curse, and I think it's both. Me personally, I cannot stand editing product. I have done it many times before. I've done it professionally, I've done it personally, I've done it for my own stuff, I've done it for friends' stuff, I've done it for stuff being paid specifically to edit, and I hate it. Because it puts me in a position where I feel like I'm either being too judgy of someone's work, or it's because maybe their writing style does not sound like my writing style in my head. I see the way that they say things, and I'm like, ugh, oh my god, literally short, tiny sentences. That might be just the way that they put their stuff together, and I don't like being in that mindset. I also am not a big fan of clipping and changing other people's stuff. I had to do it a lot when I was in Dark Age, because I was the guy in charge. I was at the top, the top seat, which means if something came up to me and I didn't like it, or it needed to be changed to match whatever, I changed it. I just made those changes because at the end of the day, I had to. It was my game. And knowing what that's like, I am now, having been through the Dark Age years, I am now a little more accepting of outside editing when someone just changes my stuff or cuts some stuff or whatever, so long as they have a reason. If it's grammatically wrong, okay. If my spell check didn't catch something 17 times, okay, cool, whatever. If it's a situation where something, I make a mention of something in the story that another product that maybe I haven't seen, or another story arc that I haven't been privy to yet, is already using it or is changing it or is contrary to that, then absolutely change it away. The last thing we want to do is create problems for the overarching story or the overarching canon. But where things are messed up in those things is when someone's personal opinion comes in. Well, I don't like this character, so remove them. Not, this character's not good for this book because he's winning all of the fights and the main character's not doing anything. Or I don't like this character because in the realm of possibilities, you're having him he's your jack of all trades. Everyone can tell just by reading that this guy is basically the Swiss Army knife in case your main character needs to get through something. And I totally can get that. I would not want an editor to just cut someone out whole cloth like that without letting me know. I would rather them let me know, and then I would then go in and cut that out. That way I can make the necessary changes if it's changeable, or replacements if it needs to be replaced, or whatever. And so that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to big edits, is I'd like to be informed, but I'd like to be the one that makes the final call. Aside from the client itself, of course. Obviously, if I'm not going to make the final call if the client says I would like you to do A, and I go, final call will definitely be B. That's stupid. I'm probably never going to work again with that guy, because as far as they're concerned, like, this guy, he doesn't listen to editing notes, and in fact doesn't listen to directions because we told him to do this and he didn't. So there's that. But yeah, so my next 2 weeks is a lot of editing. Now, I did put a ball in motion today, and I don't want to say anything. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it, nor do I want to get my my spirit all. Let's think about it. But if it does pan out, a lot of things might change. My structure of the week in Bryan might change a little, but it could be a very, very cool opportunity. So we'll see where that goes. Again, I hate being vague with you guys, but I can't. Again, there's a lot of stuff I can't talk about either because it hasn't happened. I'm under NDA to not discuss it, or discussing it might cause more problems because it hasn't come to pass. So either way, I'm excited. I'm hoping. Obviously, I'm hoping it turns my way. But if it doesn't, I'm still good. I'm still in a great place. After the editing on this novel is done, John wants me to talk about the next book. I'm still working steady on Spycraft, still working steady on the Power Rangers and Transformers and G.I. Joe games. It's just, again, it's I have a card game. Well, that's mostly done. I've got at least one miniature style game that is sort of hanging, possibly going to get purchased, possibly not. We'll see where that goes. Last I had heard, the client was very happy with it. They just needed to talk about the specifics. So yeah, we all know how things go with me as a freelancer. You got to take the gigs when the gigs come, and I'm setting up as many as I can, as you do, and when it comes to those products, I will expect them to see the editing hammer, the great red ink of a grade school teacher, the editor's red pen, as it were. But I know that I'll see it, and I know it'll happen. Hopefully not very much. Hopefully I'll be able to fix it quickly and whatnot. I have, so my next Shadowrun book, I don't have a collective plot yet because I'm working with someone else to help set up a couple of the characters to make for some cohesion in other projects and things. But I do have a handful of sort of setting neutral scenes that I know that I want to include, and those will be pretty cool. I'm excited about those. I'm excited to find it. Honestly, this happens to me all the time, is that I will be thinking about something. I'll be thinking about an instance, driving down the street or whatever, and go, oh, that would be a cool scene to be able to describe or, put down on a paper. So I've got a few of those for the next book, even though I don't know how they will attach and how they will find a way into the plot line. they will find a way into the plot line, and hopefully it won't be like this ham-fisted weirdness. I will find a way to make it fit and smoothly. But yeah, it's just sorry, I should have shaved today. I didn't. I haven't really done anything with Warzone recently, because we're still kind of getting the playtests back from people from the last round. But I do think that the rules on those, the editing of those rules, there's not much left. I think we're in good shape. So it leaves me time to focus on something like a big edit, a big rewrite of chunks of this novel. And like I said, it's a double-edged sword. It's a blessing and a curse having such a thorough editor, because it's awesome when I'm reading through her notes and seeing this scene was fantastic, it gave me chills, or oh my god, great imagery, that's fantastic. Or when the editor asks a legitimate question that is just outside of her scope of knowledge. When that happens, it's like, oh, okay, cool, click, click, click. Or when an edit note comes in and says, hey, I don't understand this, but I know in like 3 paragraphs the explanation is coming. I can basically ignore that edit and go, okay, they'll know what they're talking about here in just a few minutes. But then sometimes you'll get an edit remark that goes, man, it's a deep fingerprint. It's a deep thumb that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to do some rearranging to make this work. And then suddenly it's an hour later and you've rewritten the whole scene. So it is one of those things where I think, actually at this point, I know the end product will be cleaner, the end product will be good. The editor involved, she is very thorough. And John, the actual like overarching boss of all the fiction out of Catalyst, he understands that there's a few things that I read in the editor's notes that I disagreed with fundamentally, and I was like, no, I get this, so we need to hang on to it, and he's fine with that. But there are a few notes that that for instance, there was one note that the editor claimed that the scene made my protagonist seem very creepy. And I, like, creepy as in, like, watching girls at the grocery store, creepy, like, yeah. And I was like, no way, he's just being a flirt. And then I went and reread that little section, and I was like, no, you know what? If I was a woman and this happened to me, I would 100% be weirded out. I would not smile and I would be weirded out by it and probably think this guy is going to come home and try and murder me. So I looked at her notes and was like, okay, that makes perfect sense. And I gutted that whole section and changed it. And that's kind of some of the things that I'm coming into is I'm pulling out 200 words to put in 5. And now, luckily, when she made her first edit pass, she took a big chunk of that book with her. So I've got a lot of room to work with, which is fine. It's a timing thing now. I've got only so much time to get all these edits done, and I want to make sure that they all make sense, because the last thing I want is this book to go back to the edit process, and they go, it's worse than the first time. You gotta pay attention, and I as a freelancer, this is my my hint to you guys, is as a freelancer, as someone who's going to work for somebody else, or hell, not even as a freelancer, even if you get a contract gig, if you're going to work and and they are paying an editor, pay attention to them. Discuss with them. Don't just roll over and do everything they say all the time. Explain to them certain things. If it's like, near and dear to your heart, have a discussion. Talk to them. Talk to their boss. Talk to them. Talk to the, reread the situation 2 or 3 different times. Try and put different shoes on when you're thinking about it. Be a different role. Be the role of the the woman gamer who has been dealing with gamer boys being jerks to her for the last 6 months, and then now suddenly in this book, people are being jerks to this girl that obviously this person can empathize with. That's not going to put you in a good situation, and it might actually, in certain instances, it might turn somebody off enough that they put the book down and never finish it. So, editors are paid to do what they do for a reason. They are good at what they do. I hate doing it, but it doesn't mean that it's a skill that you can just ignore. Now, I am not going to say that all editors are fabulous and that all editors are worth their weight in gold. It's not true. In fact, some of them are, in my opinion, very quick to judge, very... well, this is my opinion, which is another thing. Editors look for facts that are problems. They look for grammar that's an issue. They look for repetition. You know, hey, use this word like 8 times in 2 sentences. Change it up. You know, but overall, the editor doesn't put much of their own opinion on it. They try to focus on the facts at hand and only really kind of brush a little bit of their opinion over it to explain why they were looking at it in the first place. Critics are driven by their emotions. They're driven by their gut opinion, and they spout it off, and they very rarely have any like direct influence on the product. It's always an aftermath sort of thing. It's well, I'm just going to tell you what I think, and hopefully it'll either, you know, change your mind or, you know, break things up. Whereas an editor wants the product to be better. A critic is just telling you, hey, this product sucks and it could be better. A good editor says, hey, this part, and this part, these are rough and could be better. Let's make it better. And that's actually one of the things that I gotta say that I've been very blessed over the years. That I've had lots of really good editors. I've had a couple of them that were a little hatchet happy. I have one that I'm not going to talk about who, because the company we worked for, he was not a writer, but he wanted to be able to put his writing into things. When he was editing stuff, he would specifically get rid of sections that he would then rewrite just to get his writing in there. And that's no good. That's ugly editing. I am lucky so far that right now the editors that I am blessed with want to, the whole goal, the end goal has nothing to do with the hubris of the authors. It's I want to make the best product I can. And that's all that I can really ask for out of any editor. Sometimes they might have a better bedside manner, so to speak, about delivering that news, and maybe not being so hyperbolic about, you know, this is awful, this is terrible, you know, this is the dog's breakfast. But as long as I'm able to sift through all that flack and get to the heart of the matter and get to the point that does make sense over this all, and then make the proper edits, hopefully we'll have a better product. And the goal, of course, is to be able to get through a product with very little editing. So I'm hoping through this big, long, massive Shadowrun edit that the actual product that comes out is going to be great, and I'm very confident that it's going to be fantastic. But then maybe the next book, I'm going to kind of take some of the mindsets of this current edit, and the next book that I do with them, apply those kind of ahead of time, and then maybe the editing process won't be quite so deep. But yeah, so you know what, I am fine with closing it out there and telling everybody that we're having you know, it's getting into winter. Still haven't seen any snow here in Indiana yet, or at least my part of Indiana yet. But it's cold, hence the hoodie. We got new cool things coming on the horizon. My DMs Guild source book is going to be out soon. Watch for me to pop a bunch of fanfare and bubbly when it happens. Maybe we'll do a review on it next week. But gonna play some games this weekend. I'm jazzed. I'm psyched. It's a good time, man. I know there's sometimes I get on here and I'm kind of doom and gloom and sleepy tired. I'm feeling good. This is a good place, and who knows? Maybe next time I get to sit here and talk to you guys about it, I'll have even some better news about products, work, and whatnot. To put a smile on my face and hopefully pass it on to you guys. Aside from that, I just really want everybody to stay safe, enjoy yourselves, go out there if you can, or order in, have some good food, find your friends, your loved ones, and smile, stay safe, and play some games. We'll see you next week.